The Snots, written by Phil Walker and illustrated by Tim Stead.
The Snots are a family of, well, Snots. They live up the nose of a young boy called Billy. They are Daddy Snot, Mummy Snot, and their son, Sid Snot.
One day, the Snots were having their breakfast. The Snot breakfast consists entirely of bowls of green goo. Sid was playing with his food, stirring it around the bowl with a spoon. "Eat your greens up, Sid," said Mummy Snot, "or you won't grow up to be big like your dad." Sid thought, "It's good, but it's not right."
"Oh, but Mum, I hate greens. All we ever eat are greens. Greens for breakfast, greens for lunch, greens for dinner. I am fed up with greens. Why can't we have nice things to eat like burgers, chips, or sweeties like the boy eats?" "Sydney," said Daddy Snot sternly from behind his newspaper. Sid's dad always called him Sydney when he was a bit cross with him. "We Snots have always eaten our greens," he said. "That is why we are green and proud to be green." "What's the matter? Are you ashamed of being green or something?" "No, of course not, Daddy," replied Sid. "Well then, be a good little Snot and eat your greens," said Daddy Snot. "OK, sorry, Daddy," replied Sid as he forced some more of the green goo into his mouth. "Yummy," said Sid, not completely convincing his parents.
Just then, there was a huge rumbling noise, followed by what sounded like an explosion. "Quick!" shouted Daddy Snot. "Gas masks on! The boy has trumped! This is not a drill! This is not a drill! I repeat, this is not a drill!" The Snot family quickly put on their gas masks. The Snots, you see, live in the boy Billy's nose, and inside a nose is not a good place to be when a trump happens.
"It's number 7 on the stinkometer," said Daddy Snot, pointing at the stinkometer on the wall. "The stinkometer is a machine the Snots use to detect the level of bad smells in their nose home. It should take about 5 minutes to clear." 5 minutes later, Daddy Snot said, "OK, everyone, the smell level is back to 0. It's safe to take your masks off now." "Phew, that was a close one," said Sid, taking off his mask.
"It certainly was," said Daddy Snot. "Now then, as much as I would love to hang around chatting with you two, I really must be off to work at the bogey mines. I mean, those bogies won't pick themselves, you know. So, I will see you two later." Daddy Snot then kissed them both and picked up his briefcase. Just then, without any warning, the Snots found themselves in complete darkness. "Oh dear," said Mummy Snot. "Whatever has happened now?" "Don't panic," said Daddy Snot. "I'm sure there is a perfectly reasonable explanation." "It can't be night time already," said Sid. "We've only just woken up." "Is it just me, or has it suddenly got very cramped in here?" asked Mummy Snot.
Then suddenly, the Snots were out of the dark and in the light. Only they were no longer in their home. They were clinging onto what appeared to be a huge, pudgy pink finger. And looking at them, just inches away, was a huge eye. "Oh no," said Daddy Snot. "You do realise what happened, don't you?" "No, what?" screamed Mummy Snot. "We've been picked," replied Daddy Snot. "Picked for what?" asked Sid.
But before his dad could answer him, the finger they were clinging onto was now heading towards what looked to Sid like a huge cave full of jagged white rocks. Behind the rocks was a giant pink spongy-looking thing. "Oh no," shouted Daddy Snot. "It's the boy's mouth! Brace yourselves, everyone! We're going in!"
Suddenly the snots were inside Billy's mouth. It was really wet and slippery inside the mouth, and the snots found themselves swimming for the first time in their lives. But this wasn't water they were swimming in. "Oh, what's all this wet sticky stuff?" asked Sid. "It's called saliva, the mouth is full of it," shouted Daddy. Sid spotted something on the other side of the mouth. "Quick, everybody," he shouted. "Swim over there and climb onto that." Sid pointed to what looked like a huge sweet.
They all swam over it and climbed up. But then they found themselves hurtling towards a deep, dark tunnel. "Brace yourselves again, everyone. It looks like we're going down," said Daddy Snot. "Down where?" asked Sid. "Down the throat. Hold on tight," replied Daddy.
The Snots, clinging onto their new sweetie raft, then shot off really fast, straight down Billy's throat, whizzing past his tonsils and into a slimy tube, where they eventually slowed down. "Is everybody all right?" asked Daddy Snot. "Yes, we're okay," Sid and Mummy both replied. "Wow, what's that?" asked Sid, pointing to a huge red thing. It was beating like a loud drum. "That is the heart," said Daddy Snot. "What is the heart?" asked Sid. "The heart is like the body's engine, Sid. It pumps a very important thing called blood all around the body," replied his dad. "It's also a symbol for love," said Mummy Snot. With that, she gave Daddy Snot a kiss on his cheek, and Daddy Snot blushed.
The Snots continued their journey, clinging to their sticky, sweetie raft. "What are those?" asked Sid, pointing towards what appeared to be two huge balloons that were getting bigger, then smaller. "Those are the lungs," replied Daddy Snot. "They allow a thing called oxygen that lives in the air to be taken into the body."
"Oh dear," shouted Daddy Snot. "We really don't want to go into there." "Where?" asked Sid. "The stomach," replied Daddy Snot, pointing to a sign that showed the way to another tunnel. "What happens in the stomach, Daddy?" asked Sid. "It's where everything that is eaten by humans is processed and turned into poo," said Daddy Snot.
"Oh no, I don't want to be poo," cried Sid. "Look, over there," shouted Mummy Snot, pointing to another sign that said, "Back to the nose." "Quick, everyone, paddle over that way. It's our last chance to be saved," instructed Daddy Snot.
The Snots, with all their might, paddled the sweetie raft over towards the sign. "Right, everyone, listen carefully," said Daddy Snot. "On the count of 3, jump off and swim towards the tunnel. 1, 2, 3. The Snot family leapt off the sweetie raft, swam hard against the slimy tide and disappeared up the tube.
They found themselves hurtling upwards. Up and up they went, until finally they found themselves rolling back into their cosy, nosy little home.
"Hooray!" said Sid. "We are home." "We surely are," said Daddy Snot, "and just in time for tea." And they all had a lovely big hug.
And the moral of the story is, try your very best to do what your mummy and daddy say, and always eat your greens, except those things up your nose, that is. The end.
The Snots is brilliant. Get your copy now.